Over. There we go. Here we are.
Yeah. So 8 years ago, Eric, I just met Eric. Let's see, we're December now, so I would have just met him 4 or 5 months ago. And my brother-in-law was doing this wheelchair basketball tournament because he's big into adaptive sports. So I'm like, I'm trying to put this team together. I don't know anybody. I know Eric. I know he's a big basketball person from back in his day. So I asked him, and then I'm begging like some other person from I was playing Ultimate at this time. And we played this wheelchair basketball tournament. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
We didn't do well, but it was fun.
No, we did absolutely horrible, but it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Trying to throw a basketball from a seated position is way harder than you think until you
No,
try.
I'm guessing it's exactly as difficult as I think it is.
It was
Well, you
the
think that
moving
standing
around.
up too,
Yeah, I'm also bad at that. Are any of you covering Sidewalk?
I have no clue what you're talking about, so no.
What sidewalk?
Oh man, I forgot to read the article.
Dang it, I'm still logged into your Zencaster account, I think, because it's like...
Don't do that.
I'm going to open it.
Why do you keep doing that?
Well, I'm still logged in from the other day, so I need to open this link in incognito, and we'll be good to go.
Thomas, what the hell is sidewalk? I don't see a card for it.
He'll tell us on the show.
Yeah.
Save it for the show.
Hopefully I gotta
Alright.
find the article.
You better find it, because now we're
I've
both
got that
curious
one.
and
I've
want to
got
know.
that one. Didn't listen to that. Close that.
Hey, we got a couple people watching us.
Already? Oh, I'm one of them, so it doesn't really count.
Oh, damn it.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead and start Zencaster.
All right. We're not going to worry about locals, John.
Sweet.
We're telling
Good.
Thomas that. Okay. So Zencaster is started. Which, John, I don't know if you called it or not. You're supposed to have my back. I did not start Zencaster with Beth's interview.
I saw that. The funny thing is, I saw it like just seconds before you started it. I was about to say something, and I saw you start. I'm like, okay, we're gonna roll with it.
Yeah, just go. I don't know. I just hope that Zoom caught it. Okay, we ready to kick this off? Are you guys want to talk about
Ready to
it?
go.
All right. You're listening to episode 215 of the wonderful podcast known as PHP Ugly. I am your host, who is heavily medicated right now on whatever you take for
Whiskey.
allergies and that. I actually have whiskey in my tea. My kid made me a tea with hot toddy with tea with whiskey. And I'm Eric, by the way. And with me, as always, are my good friends, John Congdon.
This is gonna be a good show. Already starting off this way. I'm already tipsy as well, so let's do it.
Let's roll with it. And Thomas Ryder.
Hello! I'm so glad to be here. I'm glad you're here, Eric, because it was a little iffy for a while.
Oh, it was extremely iffy.
I thought that's why you were drinking already. Like, I can't work. I might as well drink all day.
Yeah, we had here in Southern California. It's this odd thing that happens now, but a few years back, we had some pretty serious wildfires, and wildfires are actually not very common, but common enough here in Southern California that it's not shocking when you have them. But this one particular year, the local power company, was found at fault for one of the fires, and of course they got sued and a bunch of back and forth and all that. Well, now when there are certain conditions, mainly wind conditions in our area, that the power company deems critical, they will shut down power. There's nothing wrong with the power. No lines have come down. Nothing has gone on. They just decide we don't want to risk being sued again. We're shutting down power to everybody. And they did that to us last night at around 2 o'clock in the morning. And my power did not come back on to, I think it was about 4 p.m. today. And it is very frustrating, especially with the condition that we're in this country today, with so many people depending on working from home, so many people are depending on going to school from home, and you've got a power company that just decides, we're going to kill everybody's power, and the winds were really high last night, and I think everybody was okay with
horrible.
it. Oh, you think you have it bad? This little area we're at in our town, we're surrounded by mountains, and so what happens is the wind whooshes down the mountain, and then it starts just spinning around back here, and it's just horrible. Nobody can have canopies or anything in my neighborhood because eventually they'll be blown
Now, you guys
away.
know that the first week that I moved here to Colorado Springs, I saw a weather report that gave the wind conditions in measures of lawn furniture. So, the first week I was here,
Out here, they're measuring how far down the street your trash can
this
goes.
was when I first moved here. I looked at the weather report and they said that it was trampoline in your backyard weather. Where if your neighbor had a trampoline, now you had a trampoline.
So it was a frustrating day because by 9 o'clock in the morning, by 10 o'clock in the morning, the wind was just normal wind at that time. There was no reason for alarm anymore, and we had gone all day, and we weren't even the last ones to get turned on. A guy at work says that his parents were still without power as late as like 5 o'clock. So, and then on top of that, because of all this wind, because it's kicking up all this dust, all this pollen, I have serious allergies to pollen, and I've just been Benadrilling, and
I think you've been more Benadryl whiskey, right?
Little scotch here and there.
Yeah, he's been drinking Lagadrillin.
So I'm struggling. My nose is running, and it's been an unpleasant day for me. But I'm happy now. I'm here with you guys. We're talking PHP. We got a lot to talk about. Good things happening, things changing, new things releasing. But before we get into that, how was your week, Thomas?
Busy, dealing with Laravel Horizon and queues, and I hate it. And I don't want to harp too much on Laravel this week, because oof.
Why not? That's what you do.
But there was an internal review that found 2 reCAPTCHA keys that we were using that we couldn't figure out where they came from or who owned them or why. So had a little, code merging session. Took some abandoned GitHub repos and integrated them in my project, and that was fun because I got to go over the whole facade concept again. It's been long enough that I haven't dealt with it that I forgot. And they get a bad rap. I enjoyed it. It's nice stuff. Once you get it.
Whoa, calm down. I might have had more whiskey than I thought. Did you? Are you speaking positively of Laravel? And of all topics, the facade.
Yeah, yeah.
Holy crap! I gotta drink.
I think there's less magic in it than I had remembered, and so yeah, it's not too shabby. If I needed to, for some reason, write a Laravel specific package, it wouldn't be that difficult. But besides that, the normal.
What about you, John?
My week? You really?
Yeah.
want that?
Top.
No, all in all, it was a good coding week. Wrapping up this sprint, so lots of testing, lots of code. I've somehow found a way to put my hands into like 3 of the major projects that were being worked on all at the same time. And then I was being asked, "Are we gonna get all of these done in this sprint?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why would we not?" It's coming down to the wire, but I was able to wrap them all up, so I'm happy about that.
Cool.
But again, I want to know more about facades at some point. Not that we need to talk about it on the show specifically, but I still cannot wrap my head around how to successfully use them with testing. It just everything screams that it should not work very well.
I'm okay talking about it if Thomas has any insight.
Sure.
So I'm so used to, at least for when I'm writing code now, I try to do dependency injection where the container can resolve the dependencies, which means I'm not newing up objects within the code as much as I possibly can, unless it's a value object and I don't, those are more throwaway, not that big of a deal. And using factories and builders to make the objects that I need from objects that I already have. With that, I'm able to use mocking to create to mock those objects for testing. How do you do that? That's why I didn't want to necessarily talk about it on the show, because I know Thomas doesn't do a lot of
Don't do a whole lot of
testing
that.
as is. But how would
So just don't test it. You're fine. They're facades. You're okay. Don't worry about it.
It's Schrodinger's bug. Don't look at it.
Okay, so you so clearly we don't have any good
Well,
feedback.
no, it's one of the things is that you have your app service provider, and the intention there is to override your standard objects with mocks through the service provider. So you bind.
that's
So you would normally you would have your cache object in your app service provider. Your cache object is bound to the cache manager facade. What you can do is you can rebind the cache object to point to a different mock, and it'll execute that instead of the intended. So
I forgot about that part of Laravel, the fact that when you reference something, it goes to the container and it's based on your service provider doing the mapping.
right, because if you are calling a facade, let's say you're calling the cache facade, it only has the one method in it which defines the name of the service providers that are accessed through the app instance. So if you rebind those to point to mocks, then calling the same facade will actually reference different instances of objects.
All right, that makes way more sense now that you say that. I remember that from years ago dealing with Laravel, that the whole thing is you can easily swap out the service provider. Now you have a brand new concrete class that you're working with, even though you're referencing something
and
else.
that's the key with the facades, is that in your live or your real code, you're still referencing the exact same static class names, but those static class names in the background are going to redirect to a different object than the production code would. So you don't have to write for testing. You just have to write your tests to override the default behaviors.
That makes way more sense now. See, this was productive. I can't believe you didn't want to talk about
And
this.
if it weren't for like the thing I did yesterday, I wouldn't even have an answer for you because I had to do this whole research thing on Laracasts. But it refreshed the whole thing in my head. So see, that's why I'm okay with facades.
Do you have to worry about doing a lot of testing for Laravel, John? Are you getting more into Laravel?
So far, all of them. No, I shouldn't say all. Most of my tests are functional tests where I'm actually hitting a controller with inputs that I'm expecting and making sure the response is correct, because it's mostly an API. Yeah, pretty much an API microservice. So hitting it with known data and getting the expected results works perfectly for my situation right now.
Mm-hmm.
Wanting to build it out more and having these concerns around facades when it comes to testing, and that being one of my driving factors, is wanting to have it much better tested than it was prior. I had concerns around that, but they're slowly easing.
Cool.
I did have one
Well-
more thing I forgot to mention.
Mention it.
You guys know that my wife is an aide at a special needs classroom, and she has been
Are we still going with the lie that you're married?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this.
and she's been working from home since most of the school started, and she got the call to come back in last week. And the first day she comes in, she's sitting down at lunch with one of her students, and her student complains that she doesn't like lunch today because it doesn't taste like anything.
Oh no.
So my wife is back home, and we're waiting on COVID test results. And it's been rough out here. I know probably 20 people who have COVID now. Yeah.
Wow. Well, hopefully we've turned that corner. I mean, we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. But the EU
there's no corner being turned in this country.
Well, yeah.
The EU has already approved the emergency use of Pfizer's vaccine.
Yeah, I think we're 2 days away from that as well. And they're expecting that mid-December we're going to see the healthcare and frontline workers get the vaccine. And Fauci is thinking that in mid-February, the mass rollout will have had enough effect to...
Yeah, I heard he was predicting March it would be the vaccine would be available to the general population, which I'm actually fine with, because if you think about all the vaccine that's happening leading up to that, it's we're slowly addressing a lot of the issues. So,
but my county
we'll
my
see.
county is in
What
the
happens.
red zone now. They reassessed their color chart so that red was no longer the highest. Now there's a purple. Yeah,
California has purple too. I mean, we've been in the purple.
we're still in the red.
Yeah.
Actually, San Diego today just got the stay-at-home order. Like, we are all non-essential businesses are forced to close. You're supposed to stay at home. Restaurants are takeout and delivery only.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
It depends on.
Well, that's what we're
you mean by
here
great.
for.
Well,
I want to see where you're taking this, John. I'm not going to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I want this thing squashed more than I care about, like, other
animals.
things. I want people to take responsibility. No, I want people to take responsibility. Like, if everyone masked, this wouldn't be as bad as it is. But since people aren't doing that, the natural consequence right now is businesses are forced to close. and it sucks, but just wear a mask. Anyway, we're going down.
Or don't go out. That's
Yeah.
the other thing. It's like don't go out if you don't have to go out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that simple. Hey, are we just going to keep dragging our listeners through the mud and
No.
are we going to
Move
talk
on.
PHP? Let's move on. I agree.
There's
Oh yeah, I
there's
don't
no
remember any
news this
PHP
week.
news from the last week.
Ain't it so? I think 8. I can't do it. PHP 8 was released. I was trying to lead to the word 8 being significant somehow, but I don't know. I can't do it. Man.
Have you run it
Didn't
yet?
work.
I pulled down the Docker for my Devil box, and I've been itching to switch it out on my environment. The only thing is I got to bring down my box, switch it out, bring it back up. And I haven't done it yet, but I'll probably most likely do it this weekend. And it won't be a permanent thing because everything I have right now is on 7.4, 7.2.7.4. So I like to kind of keep it, in the general
7.2?
area of the stuff I'm working on because it does.
7.2's end of life, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think our DigitalOcean boxes, except for the new ones, are on 7.2. So I probably need to start doing some upgrades.
I pulled the latest version of Homestead and got RC1. I'm not sure if I've got a slight configuration error or what, but I do at least have that, and I've been running XDebug 3, which was just released.
Yeah, that was another big release. Yeah, XDebug 3. And okay, so I want to get into XDebug 3, so let's not forget about that. But back to PHP 8. I'm curious, in your position, Thomas, with the company you're at, who has the most input as far as saying when your code base is ready to be pushed to the next version of
The way that you worded that is actually kind of tricky because it's me, but because
tricky.
it's not my
a simple
decision
question.
to start the process. That's my boss's decision. He says, "Hey, pull up 8 on your machine, run through all the testing you can, get us ready and upgraded, and then we'll push it out to a staging machine and we'll have all of the people hit it, and then we'll push it out when that's passed." So it is a ticket for me issued by my boss.
You're not allowed to say, "Hey, 8 is out." Can
I
work on
am,
this?"
but it won't take priority over all of the other stuff that we have to focus on right now. So it's when he decides that it's priority, that's when I can switch over to it. Which I actually created a ticket for myself to do the research and the work to get it running on our system. He just doesn't know yet. So I work on that on my spare time, and it's, from what I can tell, functionally there's not going to be any big hurdles for us. I've looked for coverage on Laravel 8, Laravel and PHP 8 support, and it looks like all of the versions of Laravel, including the LTS, their most recent version is 8 compatible. So
Yeah. And you're already on Laravel 8,
Yeah.
right? I thought I remember you doing that up a while back. Yeah.
So it looks
Okay.
like everything's fine. I did have that concern a while back about the match class needing to be renamed, and it appears that it has been, but I haven't seen anywhere that gets mentioned as like a possible backwards compatibility break, so I'm not sure.
Was it Match? Is that the one that didn't replace, but it's like
Yeah,
the
but it's
switch
a
feature?
reserved
Yeah.
keyword in 8 now, so you can't have a class with the same name. So
Right.
I believe there was a match
Right.
class in Laravel, and it's no longer match. It's now match object or something like that. So it's a
Alright,
simple
okay,
name change, but I haven't seen any complaints about ill effects.
Yeah.
Of people that were using that class in their code and not having
It's
upgraded
only
or
been a
changed
week.
it.
I don't know. It's only literally been a week. It was released on Thanksgiving, I think. So, not many
Yeah.
people have moved.
So we've looked at it on the at phone burner, and there's so many libraries that are currently being used that are tied directly to 5,
Ooh.
6, or 7. So
Really?
you can't. Yeah.
Mm.
So now it's a matter of waiting for those libraries to say, yes, we work on 8.
Interesting. Yeah. Now, this is where I'm really getting antsy about. So we have. I gotta stop doing that. This is where I'm really getting antsy about how we deploy our architecture. Our bigger client that we have, we pushed them to Docker. It was a painful transition, but we got there. I'm excited about PHP 8 there because it's literally just a matter of dropping one container and slapping in another container, and then, like you said, testing, right? But with our servers, that we're still not launching our applications with Docker is still not our common practice. So our servers are still a manual process of adding the new version of PHP in there. And now that we've jumped a whole version from 7 to 8, I'm really kind of starting to chew through my mind of, okay, how do we make Docker our standard deployment now? And part of my problem, and I guess for better or for worse, depending on how you want to look at it, is I've started using Forge of lately, of like the last couple of years, to spin up servers. So there's no Docker implementation in Forge. You just get what you get. Now, to Forge's benefit, they do allow you to install multiple versions of PHP and attach them to the different sites you have hosted. So I'll probably go that route for the applications that we still have.
The smaller one-off applications.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm so excited about moving forward. I don't know if I told you guys. I don't think I did, but I was asked to speak on a panel last week. Yeah, last week. Yeah. So Arizona PHP had a meetup and reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested to speak at the panel, and I'm like, about what? And they were like, about PHP 8. I'm like, you really don't know me that well, do you? They're like, no, it'll be fun. It was fun. I had such a great time. I've gone to the physical meetups at Arizona PHP a few times actually. I mean, a handful of times. And so it was nice to be invited there as a panelist, and then people recognize me. They're like, "Oh yeah, I remember when you come out."
Well, it's nice, but then you also remember how hard it is getting guests for a San Diego meetup.
Yeah, that's a real thing. Yeah,
you're just on the list.
You know who was in that meetup was I don't particularly know why. He even said he's not living in Arizona. I don't think he ever did. What was Sammy K. Powers? Sammy Powers?
Yep.
A PHP Roundtable? I love that guy. That guy is just one of those guys, just vibrates positive energy. Like, if you're in the room with him, you know, like, there's a certain radius around Sammy that people are smiling. You know, like the closer they are to him, you just start to smile. That's the type of person he is. He's just this very positive person. So it was good to see him, and it was good that he actually recognized me as well, or at least he gave me the impression he recognized me. So
But I saw a story, completely sidetracking this conversation for a second, where somebody was introduced to somebody famous. Who's the?
Oh,
All right,
Matthew
all right, all
McConaughey.
right.
I've heard the story.
I think
Yeah.
it. Yeah, where you somebody will introduce you to him, and he's like, "Oh, you're Eric Johnson." Like he makes you feel like he knows you, and then you're like so happy, and then you hear him say the same thing to somebody, like, "Oh, you're
Yeah.
Thomas Rideout."
Oh, brilliant technique.
Like, but yeah, it just makes you feel good about yourself, and that's. I mean, not that Sammy does that same thing, but he just makes you feel good to be alive.
But I
when
think
you're
that's
around
one of
him.
those like how to win friends and influence people techniques. I don't think it's an uncommon technique. Yes.
It's uncommon for most people. I don't do it.
Yeah, I just give him that blank stare, like, what? Are you related to me? Who? What?
So why did you not share that you were doing this, and when did you do this, and more
No,
information, please?
no reason why I didn't share. It was before our meetup. I actually knew about it a couple weeks in advance. I just kept forgetting, and then it just kind of snuck up on me. I hadn't realized it was the last week. Like when the week started, I hadn't realized that was the week I was supposed to be doing the panel. So it happened before the show, and then of course we didn't record last week. So I'm telling you now, I cheated on you guys with another user group. I'm sorry. I don't regret.
Okay. Outside of this show, you realize we have other ways to communicate,
What?
right?
Okay, you got me there. I don't. You put me in a box. I don't tell you.
Note to self: go find this recording.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Jeremy and see if, because it was a Zoom recording and they recorded it. So I assume they're going to publish it somewhere. But I'll ping him and see if it's something. If it's out there, if it's something you guys can view, I'll put it in the show notes.
I want to, getting back to PHP, I want to read this incredible quote from Rasmus Lerdorf that you have on your Slack or on your Trello board.
And I want to circle back
We will.
to XDebug as well. But yes, read
Rasmus
that quote.
said,
I love this quote.
"People are congratulating me."
Well, explain who Rasmus is for anybody who may be listening to the show who don't know.
PHP Daddy, the guy who created PHP in the first place. And still, I believe, technically the lead/owner of PHP. He tweeted, "People are congratulating me on PHP 8. That is completely misdirected. Nikita Popov and Dmitry Stogov have been the driving forces behind PHP for years now. Countless others pitch in regularly as well. This is my favorite part. PHP 8 is significantly better because it contains a lot less of my code." That is such a great quote, and I really wish, I really wish more people were as humble and as giving of their own work as he is. That's just such a great thing to read, and hilarious.
Pretty funny, yeah. Yeah, I was happy to see that. He's a good guy. He's somebody I would like to meet. As many conferences as I've gone to for PHP, I'm actually surprised I haven't crossed paths.
He's very much on the European
know
circuit.
Yeah. But I know he does. He tries to make himself very available, especially for smaller user group conferences. Because when we were putting together Wave PHP, I got a couple recommendations that said, "Hey, reach out to Rasmus. He'll pop in. He'll speak at your conference. He really likes the smaller community conferences." And I did reach out to him, and he almost replied to me immediately. He was like, "Man, I'd love to be there. Unfortunately, that time doesn't work for me." He was somewhere else in the world. He's like, maybe, but keep me in
Next
in
year's.
mind, and yeah, like you don't have to tell me to keep you in mind. First off, and we'll just not mention the fact that there was no next year, but yeah, he seems like a really cool guy. So
XDebug 3, what do you want to know?
XDebug.
I want to know everything. You sound fine, by the way.
You're not watching on YouTube.
Oh. Oh, that's in Discord. I'm sorry. I thought you put that in.
No.
I thought you put that in Slack.
Okay, there's the big thing, which is that the configuration is significantly more simple. It used to be that, yes.
Really?
It used to be that you had to enable a bunch of different directives and say, watch this, watch these, look at these, look at those, do this, do that. And depending on if you were profiling or debugging or doing coverage, it was a whole different collection of things. In fact, if I pull up the upgrade guide that I've got...
You're getting some feedback on your
I'm
mic
too far
there,
from it
Thomas.
now.
They said it was the hottest, so too far is not the right direction there.
Well,
Just saying.
Unless he's making a comment about your personal appearance, that might be something.
there we
as
go.
well.
Hopefully
I
that
don't
improves
know.
it a little bit.
Thanks, Yasha.
So the big thing now is that
Can you breathe a little heavier in the mic? I think that might be the problem.
previously where you had to set a number of different options to do basic debugging, now it's a simple it's a simple mode switch in the configuration. So yeah.
Mode switch. Okay. When you say the configuration, are you talking about something in like your IDE? Or are you saying
In actually in the
INI?
in the XDebug INI in your PHP directory.
All right.
Yeah.
That all gets
Or
spread
just
into
So
yeah.
now you have off, which is debug is turned off, develop, which gives you development aids, such as an overloaded var var dump, stack traces, gives you filtering, stuff like that. Simple debug helpers. Coverage, which does your code coverage analysis reports. Debug, which is the step debugging, breakpoints, watch variables, things like that for your IDE. GC stats, which gives you your garbage collection statistics. That's going to be really important for PHP 8. Profile, which does profiling and gives you a Kcache grind profile report. And trace, which enables function trace features that lets you record every function call, including arguments, variable assignment, and return value that are made during a request. So the trace gives you a full breakdown of the execution path of a program that was executed. And you can enable multiples of these at once.
I might be going too far down the road here, and feel free to tell me you don't know the answer. But from a developer's perspective, so if you're an administrator and you decide, okay, we're moving over to XDebug 3, and you install it on your server, am I going to notice anything as a developer? Like, is there anything, do I risk things breaking with XDebug on how I have it configured in my IDE or anything like that? Or will just...
That was my big question. And there is one caveat, which is that the default port is now 9003 instead of 9000. However,
interesting.
As of 2 or 3 weeks ago, PHP Storm added an option in debugging settings to listen to both for XDebug commands. So in your IDE,
Seems like a waste of a
well,
port.
it's just listening for XDebug, so it's not actually using the port. It's just wondering, hey, if XDebug tries to contact me here or here, then I'll start listening to the connection. Besides that,
Well, it's got to listen on that port.
yeah,
Just saying.
it's just an option though, and that's only listening when you're listening for XDebug connections, which should hopefully only be for a couple seconds, because every time you load the browser, it creates that connection. I'm using the same browser plugin I've been using for years, which is the XDebug browser helper. You
don't
do
need that anymore. I haven't used that in years.
Yeah, I don't know if
it's used to easily turn on and turn off debugging to the IDE.
That hasn't been used in years.
Your browser just allow. I mean, yeah. To John's point, you don't actually like if you enable listening in your IDE. Say, hey, listen for XDebug. My experience lately has been I just use my browser. I don't have to go to that plugin.
Right.
Say,
so
okay, turn it on.
What the browser helper does is sets environmental variables in the server to enable or disable certain features. So,
right,
I don't think
it passed a cookie, and I don't think it does that anymore.
It's not necessary, but it still does pass a cookie, and it still works.
The only thing is, I actually still have it installed. I was just looking, I'm like, oh yeah.
Odds are you already have it,
and
if you already have it installed, it's always on, and you just don't notice.
Well, no, it tells you if it's disabled or enabled, and right now it's disabled.
Well,
so I
use it. All the tooling I have worked perfectly. It was easy to get up and running in the normal way. There's essentially 3 settings in the INI configs, and once that was done, and I had my IDE correctly mapped to the correct folders, then it worked perfectly.
Yeah, that's the big one. Is having the mappings and listening on the right port. I do see the new. You can listen on the debug port, and then the checkbox. Additionally, listen on 9003. I'm assuming you can still override 9003 so that you can listen on for multiple containers. Because that's really the only reason I changed my port is per project. I'll change it.
So that's really it. Is just the PHP 8 support, and then the extremely simplified configuration file. And as far as backwards compatibility, it's just that port change that you have to worry about. Everything else really drops into place and still works the way it should. There are significant other changes, which is that fundamentally it has been rewritten in the lower level areas to work with PHP 8, but you won't notice it. You might see some performance improvements. If you pull up the updates page, it's very, very, very long. And there are a few new features. It does.
And just to be clear, XDebug 3 is not dependent on PHP 8, correct?
No, it's not dependent on on PHP 8, but it is dependent the other way around. PHP 8 will require XDebug 3. So the previous version, which I believe was 2.7, will not debug PHP 8.
Okay.
But I was expecting it to be an all-day project for me to research and get this thing working, and it was very simple. I did a Pickle install, and everything just worked.
I might have to give that a try this weekend, just to see. Cool. All right. Do we want to talk about new competitors in our ever-growing field of podcasting?
Do we?
It's your ticket, Thomas.
Oh yes, it is. I
don't know what
haven't
you
I
guys are
haven't
talking
listened to
about,
it yet,
so
which is why I actually hadn't brought it up. But there is now a.
Honestly, I tried listening. I
Oh,
tried
was it
listening
bad?
to it. I tried. No, 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 no. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, no, it wasn't bad. It just the 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 two the okay.
I'm gonna
So
full
what we're
screen your
talking
face while
about
you badmouth
is
internals.
there's a new PHP internals. By the way, is a great podcast. If you're not subscribed to PHP internals, check them out. They'll tell you about all the inner runnings of creating the language PHP. But that's not what we're talking about here. Laravel has started up a new podcast called Laravel Internals, which you can you can take from the name what it is. And the they've only released 2 shows, and for the record, they have like 10 times more people subscribed to their channel than we have, which is at I forget. I think we're at 160 something now, but I think they were at like 1,000 subscribers or something.
I don't blame them.
It, it, it was weird. It was hard to kind of get a handle on. I don't know. I listened to the first one and I probably didn't pay a lot of attention to what they were saying. I listened to the second one and I honestly stopped listening because they weren't talking so much about Laravel internals as they were talking about Laravel internal products. Like, the stuff that they were doing for Vapor, the stuff that they were doing for Envoyer. So I'm like, yeah, okay. So I didn't listen there. But I am a supporter of, like, I think every framework, every language should have an internals podcast. I think that's just like the natural progression of communities getting insight of what's going on. So I'm happy to see Laravel doing that. I wish Symphony would do something like that. I would love to have a Symphony internals podcast, and there might be one out there that I'm just not aware of. But yeah, it's out there if you guys listen to it. I don't mind sending people to other podcasts. It's not like we make a lot of money doing this. But Laravel internals is out there. You can go to Laravel News. I think there's a article on Laravel News, and give it a listen for yourself. If you're a Laravel developer, that is. If you're not, then you might not want to listen.
I have a Laravel project and I don't want to listen.
Yeah, I've had it up on one of my open tabs for 2 weeks and still haven't watched it.
Yeah.
And it's even I want to listen less now that you say it's not about Laravel, like the core code. It's more about Laravel other projects.
And listen, I couldn't even tell you what we talked about on our second show, so you never know. I mean, they're still working through their format and their flows. I'm sure they'll get better. That was horrible to say. They'll get better. I'm not implying that they're bad.
Wait. If you really want to laugh at somebody, go listen to PHP podcast, the first 1 or 2 episodes. Then you can laugh.
PHP ugly.
No,
that's always an option too.
When we tried having a scripted podcast, I mean,
the PHP PHP podcast. Oh yeah.
PHP podcast. We tried doing a scripted podcast that did not go well.
It was. I was trying to keep that podcast to 10 minutes. I don't know what the hell I was thinking of.
What I did want to talk about here though is you ever feel like, hey, if you had a couple weeks of vacation time, you could do something like Slack yourself? Like you could throw together a product that was similar and worked well enough. So Salesforce disagrees because they bought Slack for $27.7 billion with a B dollars. I mean,
How much
That's a
money
lot of
do you think
zeros.
Slack makes in a
27.7
year?
billion.
I mean, they've got to be making over
No,
$1
that's
billion
just this
a
year.
year. Yeah. I mean, what is their revenue?
How is there?
Right? 27.
But they're not buying the product itself. I mean, they're buying it, but they
No,
don't care
but
about
this
the
article
product
says
itself.
that
$27 billion. I bet you they care about it.
They care about the data that Slack
but
has.
this article says that Salesforce itself is only getting 20 billion in annual revenue. So they're
So you're telling me they spent they're projected to spend more money, and I understand we've had this conversation before. This is not like an all cash deal. It's a stock option, blah blah blah, whatever. But you're telling me that they're willing to spend more money to acquire a product than their own product makes
Yeah.
in an entire year?
not that they
How
not
much
that
money
they
does Slack
net.
make? That's what I need.
They're paying more than they gross in a year, not net.
Don't get this.
I really don't get it.
I mean,
It's all just it's just numbers. It's just 27.7.
I mean, let's make the assumption that Slack somehow has a revenue of $2 billion, right? I mean, you're looking at a 13 to 14 year haul to profitability with that product, and that's if everything continues to go well. I can't imagine how much money Slack must be making. If they're making that much money, why would they sell? I just can't. I can't get my head around it.
Because they're not worth 27.7 billion.
Yeah,
and they're gonna get it.
that's my feeling on this is that this is an insane amount of money for something.
It's so crazy.
I don't even know what.
I'm of the mindset that there's backroom deals where these big companies are just saying, "Hey, let's do this for the publicity. You give me 27.7 billion, I'm going to give you 25 billion
I
back.
don't.
I'm going to buy it for 2.
That's still
2.7
billion, though. That's still
I
2,000
understand,
million.
but, I understand.
Billions.
Okay.
That's the thing. My kids could never.
I'm going to buy it for 100 million. Whatever. I think that there's backroom deals going on.
100 million is still 100
That's what-
millionaires. That's still
that's-
insanity.
That's what that 0.7 is. That's how much they're actually buying. Slack is actually going to give them back the other 27 of this 27.7. Yeah, they're just insane numbers that poor schmucks like myself just can't wrap their head around. I mean, I understand how numbers work, and I get how big it is. I just can't understand that much money going between two companies for
I saw a
item.
YouTube video recently. I wish I could remember what it was, but trying to show you what money means. And when you stand a dollar bill up, you know how thin it is. And they stacked a bunch to show you what it would be for like $1,000, and then like how far you'd have to walk for 100,000. And then he got into his car and drove for an hour for like $1 million or $1 billion or whatever the numbers were. Just the fact that we can't comprehend how much these, when you say 27.7, it's, you just can't comprehend it.
Yeah.
Uh,
A similar analogy. It's funny how you worded that to me, John, because I always have a conversation with my friends who don't play sports like baseball, and first thing, there's always the conversation of how fast do you think I can pitch, and my answer is you're probably in the 70s if you're athletic. If you're not athletic, you're probably in the 60s. And like, no, man, I'm probably throwing 80, 90 miles an hour. I'm like, do you really understand how fast 80, 90 miles an hour is? I mean, conceptually, you can get up to 80, 90 miles an hour in your car, but imagine that car moving in a very short distance. That's super fast. You're not throwing that hard. There's a reason why those guys are in the majors, and you're
And your wife's cheating on
know,
you. I'm
not.
sorry, Bob. I didn't mean to tell you this way.
I was hoping you'd find out differently.
No, that video is in the show notes, so you'll be able to watch it. But it is a 24-minute drive to $1 billion. So, yeah, I bought a couple domain names, and I'm going to start working on my SaaS project. It won't.
Well, I started working on an open source project. I'm actually very excited about it. I told you guys about it already. I don't know if it's going to do anything, but I told you guys a few weeks back. I talked to Andreas, and he was the developer. He's really big in the PHP community and doing a lot for the PHP community. And one of the things he did was he brought php.ug to life, which is a place you can go and you can see user groups pinned on a map. And when I was interviewing him, he was talking about how he hasn't been maintaining it. There are a couple things that he needs fixed in it. And I thought to myself, okay, I've been wanting to get into an open source project, but me being me, of course, I looked at it, and it was developed with the Zen framework. I think it was Zen 2 or something. And it was, I'm like, I could try to muck my way through this, or I could just rewrite the whole thing. So I rewrote it. I rewrote most of it. I'll show it to you guys.
Not usually how open source contribution goes, but
so I got to reach out to Andreas to see if he's interested in it. First off, I'm like, hey, is this something you'd be interested in? I completely understand if he says no. I would still release it, and I would still maintain it because I'm happy with the progress I'm making on it. But yeah, I'm been hacking. I give myself an hour, no more than 2 hours a night to work on it, and then that's it. I can't work on it for more than 2 hours a night. I usually try to keep it at an hour, but if I'm making a lot of progress, I'll give myself another hour. But I have a hard stop at 2 hours because otherwise I would just go overboard.
Yeah, that's the rabbit hole.
Never a good thing. So yeah. So I'll show it to you guys.
But what was the point in rewriting it? Just
he couldn't understand Zen framework.
Or...
Well, yeah. I wanted to bring it up to a modern framework, something that could run on modern PHP.
Yeah, that's what I said, isn't it?
So that was like.
Yeah, couldn't understand Zen.
Yeah.
As
a matter of fact, if I had any friends out there who like to rate tests, I would totally appreciate that.
You guys ready for our Mac Minute?
Gotta find some friends, I guess.
What is going on with you? Ouch.
I was like, that was two things came together at the same time. I'm like, did you hear that? Like, where did that go?
Thomas, you're sniping all my articles. Okay, let's talk about the.
Well, it's your article. I'll full size you again. You can take this.
You both had it, so it kind of counts.
Yeah,
I didn't read the article.
Both have it. Not a whole lot. I don't ever read the article either, so it's not a big deal. I just bullshit my way through it. But
you don't have to read the article. You can just throw them on Trello and be done. I thought you had to read them first.
That's all. No, absolutely.
That's why my column's always blank.
Yeah, no, we discouraged that completely. Yeah. Recently, we've talked about on the show many times how John and I have converted over to Linux full time. At least I still am. John, I assume you are too.
I am. I
don't really have any
weeks.
Yeah, don't really have any need to go back. I do have VNC on my Mac, so if I do need something to pop on there for something, I can without pulling it out anymore. It just stays folded up and put away. But turns out that might be going away. Even with the new Macs with the M1s that are coming out, no, I'm not buying one, but I guess with Big Sur, Apple massaged a lot of the legalese around the operating system to allow Amazon to host Mac virtual desktops for people. So you can now, or I don't know if you can do it now, I think you'll be able to do it soon. You can now deploy a Mac Mini through EC2. And I assume it's just all going to be GUI. Like you'll be able to like remote desktop into it. I could be wrong there too. I don't know, but yeah, you'll be able to, if you have a need for a Mac, and there is a real need for this, especially like people who, like myself or John, who commit to Linux. If you can still do, development for like Mac OS and iOS stuff, but eventually, especially if you're doing native iOS stuff, eventually you will need a Mac to build your project. And that's kind of what this is targeted for. That, like, people not using non-Mac products that includes Windows, or people who have underpowered Mac products, they can rent these cloud Macs and build the projects or whatever they need to do. And they're not the first one. There's another company out there called Mac Stadium that already does this currently. But I guess it's a little dicey about if it's legal or not because of the way the agreements were previously. But now, Amazon has embraced it. I guess they work through it all, and this is like a real thing. And I know with Mac Stadium, I don't know with Amazon for sure, but I know with Mac Stadium, they're physical Mac Minis. Like when you sign up for them, you're getting a Mac Mini.
The same is true for Amazon.
It's not some virtual.
So
you're getting
you're getting an actual Mac Mini. It's an i7 Intel processor, 32 gigs of RAM, and you can choose between Mojave or Catalina, with Big Sur coming soon. Amazon is planning on the M1 devices in 2021. There's there's weird stuff to it though.
And they already have.
Well, so this is a developer buying a license to use the operating system. So,
which Mac is always claimed
right.
is all you.
So now they're allowing third parties to collect that licensing fee as long as they collect it for a 24-hour period at a time. So you can lease a Mac Mini for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, but you can't lease it for 12 hours. Doesn't seem like a great way to do it if you're doing Mac development. The prices aren't entirely clear yet from Amazon or anywhere else really, because the licensing prices aren't clear from Apple yet. But basically, the hardware's been purchased by Amazon, and when you use it, they track that time and send that money to Apple.
I assume they keep a percentage.
I believe that they upvalue it. So if it's a $10 for a day, then they'll charge you $12 for the hardware plus the license.
Yeah, I pulled up Mac Stadium because, like I said, I know they're in a company that exists and does it currently, and it looks like their plans are $60 a month, so about $2 a day. Seems reasonable, actually. $60 a month.
Yeah.
That's what.
I mean, it's
a year.
It's reasonable until you realize you're leasing a Mac Mini.
Yeah. Well, but again, this is not your everyday. Chances are, this is not your everyday driver. You have a specific purpose that you're using it for, and
yeah, and I know companies that will be very excited that they can just pay $6 to lease it for 1 day to run their unit tests, and that's it. So
yeah,
it's strange. Speaking of delicious Linux hardware,
Delicious.
System
Linux
76. You guys are both on the System 76 train now.
hardware. We are.
System 76 just announced their all AMD laptops.
Was that the link you put in?
Yeah, it's
Slack
called
earlier today?
Pangolin.
Where the hell did you find this? Because if you go to their general site, I can't find it
It's
anywhere.
not available for purchase yet. This is a blog post notifying of the new model.
Starting at
$849. That'll get you, I believe, 16 gigs of RAM, a Ryzen 5 4500U, which is 6 cores and 6 threads, and has onboard graphics. It is not the Vega graphics, if you're into integrated graphics stuff at all. It's just AMD Radeon graphics. So it isn't. It's not
Is that
great.
good or bad? I don't know.
But it is a nice little machine for $849. The screen's a little bit boring, 1920 by 1080. But it gets you into
Oh, it is there now.
it gets you into the System 76 ecosystem pretty cheap.
The Galaga Pro is one I was looking at recently. I was thinking if I had to go back to a laptop, and I don't anticipate needing a laptop for a very long time, but if I do, the Galaga Pro is more what it's got the GPU you can add to it, and it's got the smaller form factor now. It's got the 14-inch screen. The one thing that they do with a lot of their laptops that the Galaga doesn't have, and the Lemur don't have, is they have full-size keyboards on a lot of their laptops. And where I can see certain people wanting that, it drives me. This is one of the areas where Apple has ruined me, because for my keyboard not to be in the center of my screen and for it to be askewed a little bit because there's a number pad next to it drives me crazy now. I just can't imagine using a laptop like that. Not saying I won't,
really?
but it wouldn't be a preference for me anymore. And it's weird because before moving to the Mac laptop, I could never imagine having a keyboard that didn't have a number pad. Like I used my number pad all the time, and I thought it was the best thing. And yeah, when I went over to the Mac, and I really didn't notice I didn't need it. And I felt
I got beer in my number pad. It's all sticky now. I didn't mean
you shouldn't
to.
put beer in your number pad. Then that would probably bad advice there.
You guys ready for some doom and gloom? Just bring it to a tight
Sure.
classic ending.
Let's do it, man. We're almost done with this goddamn year, so let's get.
You
through
guys know
this.
what
do you
Starlink
got?
is, right?
Is that Tony Stark's?
It is. So
You
Elon
think,
Musk
no,
launched a
Starlink.
bunch of satellites, or is launching a bunch of satellites into orbit under the intention of providing internet via satellite for pretty cheap.
Okay.
Well, the sort of beta program of this launched, and somebody was reading through the end user license agreement and noticed that it required you to recognize Mars as a free planet, not governed by any Earth authorities or agencies.
Leave it to Elon. All right. Yeah. Okay.
So, he's made it clear his intention is to build a base on Mars and to establish some kind of Elon Musk run government. But the odd question is whether or not it's legal for a citizen to declare property as not under the authority of a government.
Sure it
I
is.
would-
Until the
I would
government
say if
decides to take it.
if it's not government money going to launch said vehicle to said planet, then how could the government
With guns.
say anything?
First come, first serve, man.
I mean,
First
this
come, first
is...
serve. Yeah.
I would go up there with my own guns.
Which I believe he intends to do as well. But this is interesting because this is the basis of the story of The Expanse. If you watch the sci-fi TV show The Expanse, it's all about the war between Mars and Earth declaring that they have some sort of proprietary rights to Mars, and Mars saying, no, we're a free foreign colony, we have nothing for you.
You're 6 months away. It's like, leave us alone. We're here. Leave us alone.
Very interesting. Not necessarily doom and gloom, but hey, this next one is Amazon.
No, you can't do. You can't do.
Amazon Sidewalk.
Go ahead. What? Ugh. Okay.
A new patch
Walk
A new
on
patch will be rolling
by.
out for Amazon devices such as Ring cameras, some home security devices, Amazon Echoes, that will establish a LoRa Wi-Fi network with all other devices in its range.
Alright.
LoRa is a low bandwidth, wide area wireless network, and it will use your bandwidth to provide your neighborhood with internet access.
Okay.
Without my approval?
It is
Or I have to opt
currently
into it?
available to opt in, but it appears that once this fully rolls out on all the devices, it will be an opt-out feature of Amazon products.
How does
Do you feel that?
how does Cox do it now? Is Cox opt in?
Cox, you have to use their router and Wi-Fi device, and it is a right, and
most
it is a
people
default
probably do.
opt-in. Same thing as Xfinity,
same
except
thing.
that this is a service being provided by all of these Amazon devices, which are starting to communicate your network outside. This is not a device that's been highly tested by your ISP. This is 20, 30 devices that all run different hardware and software and are switching to this functionality after you bought them and didn't know about it.
And what's the purpose of it? If I'm paying for my bandwidth, why would I want other people to piggyback
So that
on
you
it?
can have an Amazon wireless network anywhere that you take your phone.
Which is the same thing Cox does. If I go somewhere and I don't have internet access, I can hook up to somebody else's Cox network.
And Xfinity as well, which I have and obviously don't use. But
It's funny because I always theorized that this sort of thing would happen, but it would be the car companies that did it, where cars would all start basically creating a huge mesh network that allowed people free.
well,
internet access.
the Teslas do that, yeah. Yeah. The
really?
interesting thing here is that when you look at ISP provided hardware, they can take your network and the network that they're providing and DMZ those networks apart from each other.
Right.
Right, because
That's typically what they do.
that router modem Wi-Fi combo can control all aspects of the WAN connection. Whereas
Right.
these
That makes
Amazon
sense.
devices are already in your network. They can't do that. So, and this is on top of the fact that Ring is now selling neighborhood access to police for 24-hour monitoring.
Here we go.
I brought that one up last podcast. I won't get into it again.
I appreciate it. Hey, John, did you get your pie yet? Didn't you order a pie?
Nope.
Which one? Did you get the
and I've not
keyboard
got it
one?
yet.
Jesus.
Yep.
You got the
That
keyboard.
was 3 weeks ago.
Gee whiz, man.
Oh.
Well, there.
What do you want me to do? I haven't got it yet. Although I have gotten into something else that I've always wanted to do, but never thought I really would do. I started playing the piano.
I'm so happy you didn't move into my neighborhood. Man.
My direct next door neighbor was getting rid of it, and like, hey, do you want a piano for your boys? I'm like, we hadn't really considered it. Let me think about it and let you know. And we ended up taking it. It's right outside my door here, and I've actually had a blast. It's something I've always wanted to do, never got into, and all of a sudden it's a free piano has cost me more money in the past few weeks.
Yep.
From the moving, my tuner, who I'm very grateful for, she was supposed to be here yesterday or the other day. I was like, hey, my husband is sick. He went and got a COVID test, but we don't have the results yet, so it's up to you. I'm like, thank you for being honest. How about you stay away from me until you have more information? So between moving, tuning, repair, an app I decided to download so that I can do lessons on my own. Now my kids are going to be taking virtual lessons over Zoom. It's like, how did this free thing cost so much money so quickly?
It's like a child.
But think about all the joy it's going to bring to you.
I'm having a blast. I just got to level 3 where now I'm using my left and right hand to play.
Nice. Speaking
And
of
I'm still like missing half the keys, but
children, shout out to my buddy Matt Lance and his beautiful, beautiful wife, Cassandra. They had a baby boy, and life is going very well for them. I'm so excited.
congratulations.
Can't wait for this travel ban to get lifted, and I feel comfortable enough to fly again. I'm gonna go up there and nibble on that baby's toes.
Calm down there, Biden.
Yeah.
All
right, I think that's it. I think this is a good.
If you are watching the live broadcast on YouTube, you can catch a quick conversation about garbage collection after the show.
And with that, we want
Our
to thank
Patreons.
Thank you. Which you still have the full name there, even though I asked you that.
and the wrong person up at the top of the list.
I have.
God damn it, Thomas.
I lost some data in a power outage.
That's okay. That's okay. He hasn't listened in a couple of weeks or not live, so it's his fault.
That's right. Yeah, you hear that, Buttery? This is all on you, buddy. All right, cool. I think that will do it for episode 215. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you do listen to the audio podcast, know you can join us live Thursday nights starting around 9 o'clock. We appreciate it if you subscribe or rate us on your podcatcher, whatever you call it.
What's our Discord channel?
Cool. Thanks. Discord.phpugly.com.
Excellent.
That'll get you there now. Discord.phpugly.com. Cool. So that's it. I'm Eric.
I'm Tom.
I'm John.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
Thomas, I got your elephant in the mail
Sweet.
today.
Hey, why did he get an elephant?
You know
I didn't.
why.
There'll be a little extra something in there for you too, by the way. You got the elephant. I'm killing Zencaster.
So we had talked about garbage collection, and you were talking, John, about
Yep.
the odds-based collection cycle. That
Yeah.
is session garbage collection.
That
So
makes sense.
because
Yes,
back in the day, sessions used to be file-based, stored in a temp directory, then when that random interval went off, it would go through and look for expired sessions and delete them. But the actual code garbage collection is an active task running as part of the PHP engine. So that
gotcha.
yeah,
Yes,
that whole
that makes a
GC
lot more
probability
sense.
thing that we got really confused about is just about session data and basically irrelevant to how we use PHP nowadays.
You don't still use file-based sessions?
I have
Loser.
load balanced servers. You can't do that. No,
Yes, you can.
you have to use Redis.
No, I know. No, you don't. You can use a database. You can use Memcache. You can use whatever you want. You don't need Redis. I use Redis, but
Have you
lots
guys
of other
watched?
options. You could use NFS.
Don't know if you would
Why
though.
would
You can.
use NFS?
You can. I didn't say you should. You made the declaration that you have to use Redis. I'm saying there are other ways around it.
Well, I dug deep into garbage collection a couple weeks ago, and
See what you did there? You dug
Yes.
deep into garbage
and yeah,
collection.
that
Nice.
that
Okay.
reference counting stuff is basically the core of garbage collection for PHP, memory wise.
Right. Has
Yeah.
been for years.
So, what's interesting to me is the way that PHP 8 is going to care a lot more about that because of all of these new functionalities and features that I really like. And that XDebug 3 is going to allow for checking that kind of stuff very closely. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because it has that GC stats mode now where it'll send you stats on your garbage collection so you can generate a graph of your memory usage over time and it'll tell you which ones got garbage collected and which ones didn't, and you can profile it down.
Oh, that's going to be
Yeah,
so.
so if you're
helpful.
having memory leaks, XDebug 3 will help you find them.
Oh man, which I do tons of.
It'll be a big job. It won't be easy.
It's been a long time since we've done it, but there are lots of little scripts that are run that we know have memory issues, so we end up like we'll spend hours or days trying to find the memory issue
Yeah, so
through lots of different things, outputting our memory usage at a time, trying to figure out, okay, it's definitely leaking within this section of code, and then any other possibility like stopping a script, like we know it's getting near running out of memory. I think Eric's. Oh no, I thought you were frozen there for a second. You know it's getting near running out of memory, so then you shut it down and then you try to pick it back up where it left off.
yeah,
Such a
so
pain in
with
the ass.
with XDebug, it's got a GC stats mode, but it also has a start collecting, stop collecting method, and it'll output your functions by efficiency as they were called. Here, I'll give you a screenshot of this report. I'll do it in Discord so everyone can see it.
It's you're watching on Periscope. Is it Matt Lubbers? Are you? Where is it? 7:25 a.m. right now. I'm curious.
7:25.
And
Yes,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much for watching.
He must be in Europe somewhere, right? Because London is 6:27.
No, Europe would still be like 5 a.m. wouldn't it?
London is 6:27 a.m. Frankfurt, Germany is 7:27. He must be
So check out that screenshot
Germany.
in Discord.
Hey, John, are you around tomorrow? And are you busy tomorrow?
I am around. I'm always busy, but what's up?
Hey, I still need to get XDebug working with my Devil box, and then I have a ngrok setup that I'm trying to get working. That's not working as I expect. So I was hoping you could help me with those.
Yeah, for sure. Just hit me up.
All right, I'll ping you.
Love me some Ngrok.
The Netherlands.
Nederlanden.
Netherlands. I
Yeah,
would
me
love
too.
to go there. There's so many places I want to go. Oh, we didn't even talk about it on the show, but we got to talk to Beth
Oh,
Long
yeah?
Tucker.
Tucker
Beth
Long.
Tucker Long. Beth Tucker Long.
Long
Every
Tucker is what
time.
I was in
I
high
don't
school.
understand.
You're a Tucker.
Oh yeah,
Tucker
PH
Thomas?
or
Should've known
phys
about
ed.
that, too.
Yeah, you gotta.
But
Anyway,
yeah, we interviewed her because she's contributing back to PHP Architect again. So it was so much fun talking to her. I forgot why I was bringing that up. Something about
Travel.
conferences, travel.
traveling.
Yeah. Oh, she'd gone to Scotland. She'd gone to a PHP Scotland conference in Scotland, and I was very envious of them. Amsterdam is another place I really want to go. It's on my bucket list of places to go. So, all right, I will let you guys go. You guys take it easy.
Yeah, hit me up tomorrow. Let me know when you want to work on this.
Most definitely. All right,
I think I got a pretty open schedule tomorrow.
I'll ping you. You know how it is.
Yep. I'll be around.
Yes, thank you very much, Discord and Patreon and everyone and everything. Yeah, he's Benadrylled out. All right, I will. I'm going to kill the stream, and I will see you on Rocket League. Well, why not? All right.